and new books for spring 2016. This is somewhat of a mix, but it's pretty much like culture, human condition, opinion, decline of the West kind of stuff. Okay, so here's this one. I've been reading this quick little book. Eric Hoffer. You may know Eric Hoffer he was not an academic. I don't even think he was literate. Well, he was literate eventually, but he grew up in very poor circumstances, and he was a longshoreman for a while. He was a fisherman or a dock worker, and he wrote a few books on. It's not quite psychology, but it's about group dynamics, and this particular book is about called The True Believer, and it's about why people get into radical groups. Just think of any group, like think of feminists, think of social justice warriors, think of religious people, think of like these groups. Why do people aspire to enter a higher order? I want to say like a hierarchy of organization. They want to be a part of something bigger. Why do they do that? What's with that? So I'm just past halfway through, but this is a really good book. This is fantastic. He has little quick chapters, like 1 or 2 page, 3 page chapters. So it's kind of like written in. You ever read Beyond Good and Evil? There's section 1, section 2, but it goes up to, I don't know, probably in the hundreds, right? So right now I'm on section 76, but it's really good, and I will definitely do a video when I finish this. And it very much talks about, like I was saying, why people get into these groups and why they want to sacrifice themselves into this group and various aspects of the group. I remember one thing that it said about if the ideals, if what the group wants is something unattainable, it's even better. They're even more radical about the unattainable. So I'll give you an example. So environmentalists, they want to certainly get rid of carbon pollution and things like that. But ultimately, they want to reduce our footprint, not just our carbon footprint. That's actually a bit of a ruse. They actually want to reduce our consumption completely or totally. They want us to live very subserviently because they're so worried. Well, this is what they say. They're so worried about the earth, but I think it's a bit of nonsense. There's a bit of hatred of man in the tone of environmentalists. Now the point is for this book is that their ideal is unattainable. They will never realize that, right? But that's the point. That becomes even more important to them, that the goal is unattainable. So that's just one little slice of this book, one taste. But there's a lot of great stuff in here, and I will definitely do a video about when I'm finished. All right, now some more. This is kind of books on the decline of the West, I guess, or what's going on. Or sometimes I wonder, though, that every kind of era of time, people think that things are bad, things are going awry. Every era of time, we think that, and is that just simply the older generation not being so happy with what the young are doing? Is that what it is? Is that the only source of that? I don't know. So Isaiah Berlin wrote quite a bit, commentary on stuff. The Crooked Timber of Humanity, chapters in the history of ideas. So, well, that's great. If someone's going to write on ideas, I'm interested. So let me just see if there's anything interesting in here in the table of contents. So, the pursuit of the ideal, the decline of utopian ideas in the West, etc., etc. So that should be pretty good. Here's a book I've been looking for a long time, and I finally found a copy. The Closing of the Western Mind, The Rise of Faith and the Fall of Reason by Charles Freeman. Unfortunately, the first maybe quarter of the book, not quite, maybe the first fifth or sixth of the book, it's got all kinds of pen, and that annoys the hell out of me. But it was actually $4, but the guy reduced it to $2, which is fine. But so the pen is going to annoy me, but actually the pen only is like in the first, 30 pages, so 40 pages. After that, it probably wasn't read, so which is pretty typical. I have bought probably 1,000 books from used bookstores, and I have to say that most of the books that I encounter um, have not been read. And whenever I find bookmarks in books, which happens, they're always in the first, maybe within the first 50 pages, I would say. So I guess people start something and then life goes on, right? They do something else. So anyway, this is supposed to be really good. So I'm glad I finally found a copy of that, even though it was not quite in the condition I would like it, but oh well. Here's a book actually from my library that they discarded, and it's called Who's Going to Read This Anyway? And actually what this is quick little essays, like one-page essays, that are trying to persuade you about something. And this is sort of a textbook, but not really. And it's supposed to be just, here are quick little essays, and it has some commentary on what the author does rhetorically to try to persuade you. It's somewhat of a study book, but it had, like I said, quick little essays, and they're supposed to be for you to kind of improve your own writing. So I thought, well, it's free. I thought, okay. Okay, the next one, sort of not really decline, more commentary on the West, is by Neil Postman. Building a Bridge to the 18th Century, How the Past Can Improve Our Future. Building a Bridge to the 18th Century. So he's talking about ideas in the 1700s that he thinks would be relevant now. And I actually have a long review of this on my other channel. I don't know how many videos, maybe 10 or 12 videos on this. So, and I guess every video was one of the chapters. So chapters are progress, technology, language, information, narratives, children, education, I know was one, democracy. So every one of those chapters, I think, I have a little video on my other channel. So if you're interested in what I found in this book that was interesting ideas, then check that out. Last one, The Naked Constitution, What the Founders Said and Why It Still Matters, by Adam Freedman. This book was really cheap on Amazon, and it was recommended by someone, I'm not sure, someone in the libertarian movement. Must have been some podcast or some video that I watched. Someone recommended it, and it was really cheap. So I bought this along with some of the other political philosophy ones. I'm not sure why. I should have probably put some political philosophy, but oh well. So I don't really know what this is about other than just another commentary on the Constitution, which I was recommended to buy, and I bought it like probably 4 or 5 months ago now. So when I study the Constitution, then this will be one of the books I also read at the same time. Okay, that's it for new books for spring 2016.